Bringing you up to speed on the latest in war-torn Ukraine. Now, after a brief ceasefire in Mariupol and Volnovakha to open humanitarian corridors for evacuation of citizens, Russia started heavy shelling once again in the region. Now, Russia has issued a statement saying that it is taking all possible measures to evacuate civilians, but the national battalions are preventing civilians from exiting the place. That's the latest that we're getting to you right now. Russia blaming the Ukrainian forces of preventing civilians from exiting the region. Joining me on the broadcast to give us more information on the latest is my colleague Samiksha. Samiksha, what more can you tell us?
Spino, to begin with, let's put this into context. In the round 2 that were held between Russia and Ukraine, the two countries agreed upon facilitating the evacuation of citizens, primarily from two cities, and these are Volnovakha and Mariupol. But what has really happened is that the ceasefire did not really transpire, and that's primarily because the shelling and bombardments by the Russian troops continued unabated. And what we are getting to know right now is that a statement has been issued by the Russian embassy in India, which says that Russia is in fact taking all possible measures to evacuate the citizens living in these areas. But this is a complete, paradox to what has transpired, because it's Russia that has resorted to shelling, even though a humanitarian corridor was agreed upon by the two countries. But there we have Russia pinning the blame on Ukraine, saying that it's Ukraine, in fact, that is preventing the evacuation of citizens from Mariupol and Volnovakha. Back to you.
Absolutely. We're going to be tracking all the latest developments there. Mariupol and Volnovakha. Yesterday, we had seen a ceasefire being announced. However, a lot of civilians are still stuck there in the troubled regions, with Russia now coming out blaming the Ukrainian forces of not allowing the civilians to pass through. As Russia continues to press their advance on Ukraine's capital city, civilians and soldiers have been preparing to defend Kiev. Watch how volunteers armed with weapons have been building barricades and installing them on the streets, hoping to slow the convoys of Russian tanks and troops as a vast Russian armored column remains stalled outside Kiev. Among the volunteers is the university student Svetlana Kalanova. Kalanova says she is determined to fight because this is her country and home.
No purpose for this. So why do they do this? I want to fight also because this is my country, this is my home, my thoughts, my family, all of my, pressures. Everything is here, and I would like to be this like that way it was before.
And while the West has broadly backed Ukraine, offering aid and weapons and slapping Russia with vast sanctions, the fight itself has been left to Ukrainians. Agency report for Republic TV.